In this video, we're starting our movement toward data science, towards trying to deal with the massive amounts of data that are produced every day and trying to find significant factors or significant features of the data that may not be clear just by looking at it. Okay, so this has become a big field for sure. Okay, so as part of that, we've talked about NumPy, we've talked about Matplotlib, which are both tools that are used a lot in the data science field or data analysis or whatever you want to call it. The other thing that we have to talk about, though, we have to talk about files. Okay, you're going to get these files, often very large files. Okay, so the files that you get typically come in two varieties, although there may be more. There could be a comma delimited file. Okay, it may not be commas, it could be delimited by spaces or exclamation points for that matter. Okay, but that's a pretty common way to get data. And the one that's more on the rise is called JSON, that comes out of the JavaScript world, although it's supported in all languages. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go through some of the techniques and some of the things we can do to manage those kinds of files. Okay, there was a video on files before that talked a little bit about the CSV, but we'll do a little bit more this time. Okay, show them the right spot. Okay, so here is the CSV files. Those are comma delimited, or we call them comma delimited, but they're comma separated files. And usually there'll be a number, comma, another number, comma. Sometimes there are other things. Okay, so they're the most common data files that you're going to encounter for sure. Okay, Python has a CVS module built in. Sorry, CSV. It's not a drugstore. CSV module that has ways to read and write to this format. Okay, so and they've got examples here. It allows programmers to say things like write this data in the format preferred by Excel really like CSV files. Okay, there are other variants that you can make of the CSV formats in order to make things work with your particular files for sure. Okay, so it also has the ability to read and write to a dictionary form. Okay, and we'll see some examples of that. So here's what I've done before, and this line basically is going to mount your Google Drive to where your Colab can get to it. Okay, and then here I'm pointing to a directory that I've created on my drive called -- files. Okay. The other examples that I've put on here, I tend to just create files, put them somewhere, don't know where, but they seem to know where they are. I haven't been able to find where they are, so I'll keep looking there. But in this case, I know where that file is. Okay, so I went online and found this New Zealand site that had a bunch of CSV files for different kinds of census stuff. So I downloaded that, uploaded it to my Google Drive into the -- files account. Okay, and I'm importing here the CSV library. Okay, there's no import or there's no download involved. It's part of the standard we have in Python. Okay, I'm using the file open here. There's the name. And there are other options we have on the open, but we're just taking the simple one here. Opens the file. I'm then creating an instance of the CSV reader, calling it CSV reader, and it's a CSV dot reader. Okay, and I'm setting it the file that I just opened, the file handle. Okay, so often in data, the first row will be like column headings. So I'm dealing with that. I'm creating an empty list called header. I'm using the next command. The next is part of the CSV library on this object, okay, to return that first row as the header. Okay. Next, we're going to create a list of the rows in the file. So this word row, okay, is going to come out of this for loop here. I say that's part of the library, and it's not. That's an incorrect statement. I was younger then, like 3 hours younger. Okay. So what we're doing here, we're setting up rows to be an empty list. And then this for is our basically our iterator. Okay. So for every row, we're going to call it row. So for row in this, we're going to append that row to the bigger rows. Okay. So when we run this, it worked before and now it doesn't. Isn't that interesting? I'm not sure why it didn't. Very strange. didn't change the code at all. So I'm not sure what's going on. It's because I shouldn't have deleted that where it ran before. So yeah, we'll keep on moving because I'm creating the others myself later. Okay. Anyway, that should have worked and printed out the data. Okay, so the CSV writer looks like this. Okay, so I've got a with open here. Okay, so it's this eggs.csv file that I'm creating. I'm opening it to write. And my new line character is just going to be a space. Okay, it's going to open it as the CSV file. Okay, and then I'm just going to let this spam writer, okay, which is this is from the python.org website, is equal to the CSV writer with the CSV file, okay, which is what we open up here, the eggs.csv, with the delimiter being a space. Okay, the quote character is a vertical line, and then we've got this other quoting stuff here that you don't have to have necessarily. Okay, so that opens up the writer here. So we open up the file in this line. We're opening up the writer here. We're now writing rows to the file. Okay, this is going to give us 5 spams and 1 baked beans. This is going to give us a spam, a lovely spam, and a wonderful spam. Okay, so I'm then going through basically and opening this file now. Okay, and opening a reader and then printing it out. Okay, basically is what that does. Hopefully that one works. They all worked before. There we go. That one does work. Okay, that prints out our data. Okay, if instead you want to write a file in dictionary form, okay, you would use this dictionary writer or dict writer here. Okay, and we open it. Okay, then we're going to write rows, but this time after we're opening the write header. Okay, with first name, last name in a dictionary format. Okay, so if we do that, we get nothing because it didn't ask for anything. Okay, and then down here we're going to read in a file from that dictionary form. Okay, so using the dict reader, and then go for row again as an iterator, and that's going to give us that information. And each row itself, you see, is just a dictionary with these associations between first name and John and last name and Cleese, for example. That's just the first row or the last row, sorry, that prints out there. Okay, so that's what the CSV files are going to look like. So the JSON files, and all this stuff here is from JSON.org. And it's kind of an up and comer in the data world. So as it says here, that it's JavaScript object notation. It comes from the JavaScript world. It's lightweight. It's easy for humans to read. It's easy for machines to parse. Okay, it's used in many languages. All languages pretty much that you're going to be using have this, but it also has the way it looks. It looks like a C-type language. Okay, the C family of languages. Okay, so it's some advertising here that it's an ideal data interchange language, but it is used a lot on web things for sure. Okay, so JSON then is built on 2 structures. The first are these name value pairs. Okay, name value pairs in Python we would call associative arrays or call them dictionaries. Okay, other languages could call them records or structs or hash tables or whatever, but it's this association between a name and a value. Okay, so this ordered list of values is going to be the issue here. Okay, and it could be called a array vector list sequence. Okay, these are universal data structures that most modern programming languages support them. Okay, so that's kind of how these 2 structures, so the name value pairs and the ordered list of values, are what make up this JSON file. Okay, so here's some code where we're going to move from a JSON file that we found to a Python dictionary. So the JSON file typically would come from a file we're loading in, but in this case, we're just kind of making one up where we have our key value pairs. Okay, so we use the JSON, again, we've imported the JSON library, nothing to download, it's part of it. Okay, the loads command is what will turn this file into a Python dictionary. Okay, so once we've done that, Y is now a dictionary, so we can do things such as Y age, and this will correctly print out 30. Okay, so it's now, Y is now a Python dictionary in all ways. You can use it wherever else you could use a dictionary. Okay, Then moving the other way, so moving from the Python dictionary, you want to convert it to a JSON file format that you could then write out and do something with it, like with another site. It would become interoperable with other systems. Okay, so in this case, we've got our Python dictionary with the curly brackets, okay, with the name, age, and city with its values, okay, and then we're going to use the JSON dumps command to turn that into a JSON string, okay. So again, this is the JSON string, and these look pretty much like dictionaries. So there's not much difference here as far as the formatting of them goes. I mean, because you see, yeah, this is how we would do a dictionary for sure. But it's the different formats allow us to interoperate between different systems. Okay. So again, as we move forward in the data science field, we'll look online and find examples of data files that we can use that will either be in CSV or in JSON format primarily. And Python has the tools to be able to manage those. Okay, we can go through and clean them up and start analyzing to find new kinds of information. Okay, so that's a little bit about files, just to formalize what we talked about before and give us some tools to be able to work with these types of files.